In this video, we're going to be starting off by giving you a little bit of an introduction to Agile. We're going to look at the number of different features of Agile, how it works, the different values and the different principles that exist inside of using this new methodology that you should be able to understand quite a lot about by the end of this module. So what is Agile? Well, whenever we're looking at developing a project, we really need to consider all of the different parts of this project and how they combine together. If you think about any of the projects that you've been doing in your university life so far, or even outside of university, you will have noticed that they do have a number of characteristics that are fairly similar. You'll have noticed that projects can have really rapidly changing requirements. So anytime that we're actually doing something, what we end up wanting to do at the start probably isn't what we're going to end up having at the end. The requirements are going to change considerably. Another thing that you'll be more than familiar with is that anytime that you're creating a software development project, you really want to see results, and you want to see results fast. The reason for this is, well, we don't want to be making something and then not see the end result of it for 2, 3, 4 weeks. We want to be doing something, compiling it, and then seeing a result instantly. We want to see this code being developed in an incremental manner so that we can see the changes that we're making and how these changes can then have an effect on what we're trying to do. Agile takes these ideas, but then also applies a number of different principles to it as well. It creates this time-boxed approach where we can actually start to understand a little bit more about how we can deliver products to customers. So we can say to them, well, at the end of an X period of time, so let's say a 2-week period, we will give you the product and we'll show you what it can do, and then you can give us feedback. We'll then work on your feedback and then we'll add on more features as well. Compare this to a more traditional approach where you would be given a project to do and you wouldn't actually get feedback on it until the very end. You can see that the Agile approach here can have some very, very large advantages, especially in industry, because you'll all be common with this idea that people don't actually know what they want until you give it to them. Then they'll be really good at telling you that they're wrong or that you're wrong, and that they want all of these extra things added in as well. The other good thing about Agile is that it really tries to empower teams, and it really tries to make teams being self-organized. We don't tell you exactly how we want you to do something. We tell you what we want you to do, and the hows are really left up to you. So in terms of Agile, the idea behind this really started back in the 1990s. The Agile movement first kind of started in the early 90s when large-scale software development started to become a big thing. Heavyweight waterfall methods were used at this time to create software, and they were beginning to get very cumbersome. Projects would get burdened down with paperwork, and it would take a long time to get things done. Agile itself, the earliest kind of looking at this happened in 1974 on a paper that was looking at adaptive software development processes. And this paper tried to investigate how we can actually take the software development process as a waterfall approach and then change it to be more adaptive to user requirements, changes in customer requirements, changes in market segmentation. Throughout the 90s, we started to develop more agile approaches. Scrum came along and was seen as this amazing thing that was going to change software development for the better. It kind of has, but it wasn't as big as people initially thought it was going to be. And the same sort of thing happened with extreme programming. Okay. This whole idea of Agile was encompassed in something that was called the Agile Manifesto. And the Agile Manifesto was made at the beginning of the 2000s. Do we call them the noughties? Let's call them the noughties. They were made at the beginning of the noughties as a way for people to start to understand what are the principles that are going to guide this new type of Agile development. The idea here was that we were focusing on more lightweight practices than we would have commonly seen within waterfall type approaches. The Agile Manifesto was created at a meeting of like-minded individuals. They gathered together. Apparently they gathered together in a ski resort because that's what you do, and then they sat down and started to talk about software development and start to talk about the ways that they were facing challenges inside of their organizations. Okay, this meeting of 17 experts started to look at all of these lightweight alternatives that could be made, all these agile practices that could be created. And the Agile Manifesto was born from that. They created an alliance called the Agile Alliance that is designed to sit alongside the manifesto. And this is really a group of people that try and promote and evangelize all of these agile principles. And they created 12 different statements to try and fully explain what is meant by Agile and how we can use Agile processes inside of different project management tasks. Okay. These 12 processes were formed around 4 key values. And these key values are something that we're going to be coming back to again and again in this module. We're going to be looking at these as things that we can actually push as core principles in software development. And this, what we have here, is something that they explicitly put inside of the Agile Manifesto. So they've said, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in terms of the item on the right, we value the items on the left more. So the we at the start of this really refers to the Agile Alliance, and this is a group of practitioners that came together. By saying doing it and helping others, what we're trying to do is emphasize these values and how these values have been created by seasoned professionals. And the rest of the manifesto is really kind of focused in this idea of kind of a left and a right. On the left, we've got things like individuals and interactions, working software, customer collaboration, and we're saying that these things are more important than the things that are on the right-hand side. So processes and tools, comprehensive documentation, contract negotiation. We're not saying that the things on the right-hand side are not worthy, not valuable, but we don't value them as much as these other things. And these are the ones that we really want to push. The manifesto, in its state like this, although simple, it's not designed to be prescriptive. It's powerful in the way that it focuses on people and it focuses on value-based delivery and how it values change. But it's not designed as a prescriptive method of you should do this, followed by this, followed by this, as a way to carry out your tasks. So we've got these number of different things inside of our manifesto that we want to look at. The first one, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So what we're really doing here is we're pushing value in the people inside of teams. Rather than having this heavy process mindset and lots of project management tools, we're really putting value in people, in you as software developers, as the ones that can carry out the work that's going to be happening. This is stating that while processes and tools might be helpful, without the effective collaboration between you and the people in your team, an agile project team isn't going to work. Agile project teams should be empowered to tailor the processes that they want to use in order to best fit the projects that they're doing. And this is something to remember, not only within this project, but within other ones that you might use in the future that contain agile working practices. Scrum is not a very prescriptive thing. Kanban is not a very prescriptive thing. XP is not a very prescriptive thing. These are all very much flavors of the same thing that you can take and adapt to your situation. If you find that one thing isn't working, try something else. We're valuing individuals. We're valuing the way that people are different people and how we can actually change our processes to actually mold around these people. Next, we're trying to value working software over comprehensive documentation. With this, we're really trying to remind you that until we actually have a piece of software that we can deliver to someone, it is not giving the customer any value. Really, in a project, the only measure of usability, of how well a project is going, is on the feedback that you can get on working code. And because of this, we're really trying to say, well, the code is always going to be more important than the documentation. Documentation is important because it's showing that you're able to kind of show your progress over time, but it's not as important as the actual side itself. And when we're thinking about this documentation, when we're thinking about the beginning of a project, let's say we're making a website, it's almost impossible for an end user to specifically say, this is how I want my screen to look. Okay. In reality, end users change their minds frequently. So if we were to update our wireframes every single time that a customer decided they wanted to change, we would be spending a lot more time updating our wireframes than we actually would be making our product. So by spending effort in these tasks that aren't going to create value for the customer, we're wasting time. So we need to really focus on this working software. Having this idea of frequently delivering working software to the customer gives the idea that you are constantly creating something that is of value, something that you can show someone, and if they don't like it, you change the software. You don't need to change all of these background bits of paperwork that accompany it. Moving on, the third one was really looking at customer collaboration over contract negotiation. In this one, what we're really trying to push is that you're working with the customer, okay? It's very, very easy inside of a situation to get bogged down by a contract, to say, well, you've told me I need to do X, Y, and Z, therefore these are the only things that I'm going to be doing. Instead of that, inside of Agile, what we're really trying to do is focus on collaboration with the customer. We don't want to get to the situation that we have here, where we've got all of these different sorts of kind of examples of a swing that happen, okay? You want to have this idea where the customer is part of the team. And this is something that's really built into quite a lot of Agile practices. And it's something that we'll see in our work when we're working with Scrum and we're working with product owners. So we're really trying to push this idea that we're collaborating with the customer rather than working for the customer. And the final value was this idea of, well, we're going to be responding to change over time instead of following a plan. Best laid plans and all that, things go wrong, okay? Even just think back on your life and the last year, your plans at this time last year probably have not worked out the way that you thought they would. We've not had this kind of nice plain sailing bike ride along the road. We've had a pandemic infested plague water bike ride along the road. So we need to be able to respond to change. And this is one thing that Agile really, really works well with. We want to be able to embrace this idea of plans are great, but they're plans. And we are wanting to better enable you to respond to the changes that happen inside of a project. So those are our 4 main ideas that are behind Agile. As well as those 4 ideas, we've got our 12 different Agile principles. And the authors of the Agile Manifesto came up with these principles that really kind of try and supplement the manifesto itself, and then use these as a way to kind of build different Agile methodologies. We'll go through each of these as well. So the first one is that our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of software. So anytime that a customer is getting a bit of software, they're trying to add value to their business. That could be because they're wanting to secure a market share, they're wanting to increase their profits, they're wanting to stay in business, or they might even just be wanting to satisfy legal requirements like accessibility. Within Agile, what we're trying to do is really prioritize the satisfaction of the customer. So if they're wanting a bit of software, we need to get this done. The key word here is early, okay? Agile aims at trying to deliver business as early as possible. We want to deliver that software to customers as quickly as they can, okay? The idea here is that the sooner that we're able to do this, the sooner a customer is able to give us feedback on what they're doing. And the next significant word here is continuous. So what we're doing is we're delivering early and we're delivering often, okay? By doing this, we're constantly letting the customer see what we're going to be creating, and we're showing them that we're able to constantly deliver these incremental updates on the things that they're after. The next one, we're welcoming changing requirements. Even late in development, Agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. So what we want to be doing here is we want to be expecting change inside of a project. If a customer comes to you and says, actually, this other shop down the road have implemented this feature, I need this and something better, you should be able to say, sure, okay, we'll deprioritize one of the other things you wanted, focus on this one instead. Next, we want to deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, with the preference for a shorter time. With this, Agile is trying to follow this strategy that's called fail fast. Okay. With this, the word fail often brings negative connotations. Don't think of it in this way when it comes to Agile. Okay. Anytime that we are failing, we're getting advice that we can then use to improve on what we're doing, turn it around, and turn it into a success. The easiest way for a customer to get something that they want, that is their exact specifications, is to see something that you've made and say, I don't like that, change it to this, and it'll be perfect. Okay? Again, building up on these things. And these ideas of fail fast, fail often are things that you wouldn't be able to do in a traditional waterfall approach, but you can do with Agile because you've got this iterative process of continuous delivery. The next one, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. And this is something that you might not expect. Inside of Agile projects, it's very, very common to see the customer on site very often, to be the one that's there that you go to and say, I've thought about making this feature. I think that we can do X, Y, and Z. What do you think? Instead of going to your line manager or going to your team leader, you go to the customer themselves. With this, they're the ones that are able to guide what it is that you're doing. Okay, there are a number of different challenges that can exist with this. And to be honest, it's quite difficult to actually get the customer on site all the time. These can create communication challenges. So you can have situations where you're creating software, but you're unable to show it to the customer straight away. Or it could be like a global pandemic. Surprise, means that the customer isn't able to be in the same room as you. With this, you really need to try and find some strategies to get around all of these different things that appear. So to do things like set up regular meeting slots, set up office hours for people, for your product owners, set up chat boards, just different ways that you can keep communication going. Just because you aren't co-located in the same space doesn't mean that you can't still have this shared resource of communication you can use. Okay. So, number 5, build projects around motivated individuals. Give people the environment and the support they need and trust them to get the job done. Okay? Again, one of the key principles in Agile is not to say to you, this is how you are going to do this. We just need to say, this is what I'm expecting. Do it in the best way that you can. Okay? Projects are designed by people. Projects are designed for people. And Agile really, really pushes this people-centric approach. You as developers are the ones that make this work. So within Agile, we're really trying to focus on your ability to use the skills that you have and to really push your own knowledge and understanding, and also improve your own knowledge and understanding as well by actually working with people in a group. So different Agile methods have different people that are in their group that are designed to help this. So we have things like Agile coaches, Scrum masters, and these people are really there to kind of have this servant leadership type approach where they're there to support the team. But at the heart of this is this belief that motivated people are what make good projects happen. And that's what we want to have as a key value whenever we're looking at Agile work. Number 6, the most effective and efficient method of conveying information to and within the development team is face-to-face conversation. So again, this one's fairly more challenging just now because we're all stuck behind monitors, but what we're trying to do here is get this idea down where if you are struggling with something, the best way that you can overcome it is to have a conversation with someone else. Okay, chat boards are great, message boards are great. Meaning is lost quite a lot with these sorts of things. So try and have these face-to-face conversations or use video conferencing tools as a ways to actually talk to people. Also, find ways that you can share information in shared spaces with people. So in this module, we're going to be using GitHub as a way to use that. Other people like using things like Trello, like Jira. There's lots of other different PM tools that you can use to help you in actually trying to come up with all of these ways to share information with people as well in these kind of big information radiators. Okay. Number 7, working software is the primary measure of success. Okay, anytime that we're looking at an Agile project, we're really interested in making sure that we're showing working software. If at the end of one of your time-boxed, we call them sprints inside of Scrum, you have a bit of software that is not yet working, you don't class it as half done. You class it as not done, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to really value this idea of working softwares, okay? And working code, working is what we want here, okay? We really need to have the ability to show things that are working to customers so that they can come back and comment on it. Again, this harks back to the manifesto favouring working software over comprehensive documentation. You can tell me all the things you're going to do until the cows come home, but until you show me something you've done, it's not any value, okay? So focus on actually getting things to show people, okay? Number 8. Agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. And this is one that is more important now than it has ever been, okay? Agile is not about working yourself to the bone in order to get a project done. It's about working at a pace that you're comfortable with and maintaining that pace throughout the entire duration of a project, okay? A team member is of no value to the team if they burn out. So look after yourself, okay? Don't feel that you have to continue working past 5 o'clock to midnight to get something done. 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock. That's when the day finishes. So you really want to promote this idea of a sustainable, healthy team, okay? Good relationships between team members that can also support each other. Okay. There are a number of different ways that you can look at the productivity of teams, and you can look at how people are doing. You can use your daily meetings as a way to check the mood of people. This can be something as simple as thumbs up, thumbs down, or nah, or kind of just emojis, smiley faces, sad faces, one of the other many thousands of emojis that exist now. If you feel that you are undercommitting work, you can talk to the product owner. You can try and be transparent with them and say, look, we've done way too much here, we're not going to be able to do this, or look, we've got some space, we can take on a little bit more, okay? And then you can also share the achievements, okay? This is one thing that we as a society are really bad at. We're really bad at saying, or we're really good at saying, this project has failed, it was that person's fault. We're really bad at saying, this project has succeeded, it was the team's effort that made it succeed, okay? If something is failing, it's actually the team's responsibility too, okay? You should rally around the person that is struggling with a particular task and help them to actually achieve it. Okay, number 9, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. With this, what we're trying to say is that whenever we're developing software, it is constantly a learning experience. I did some of the Advent of Code activities over Christmas this year. It was a big learning experience for me. I did it last year as well, and I've been doing quite a lot of JavaScript development throughout the year. I can tell you that my JavaScript this year is significantly better than it was this time last year. Okay, it's constantly a learning experience whenever we're coding. We're always going to find new and better ways to carry out a task. Okay, and this technical excellence and the development of this is something that is very important inside of Agile. Number 10, simplicity and the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. Okay, the reason for this is because it can be hard to keep things simple. Okay, making something simple is actually not an easy thing to do. Okay, as developers, as software teams, we're really good at saying the following: wouldn't it be good if? Well, yeah, it would be good if, but the customer hasn't asked for it. It's going to add complexity to the project, and it's going to remove the simplicity. Okay. We take pride as developers in creating more advanced and rich features, okay? Often to an extent that many of them never really get used, okay? As an example, have a look around My Dundee. How many of the features there do you actually good, okay? Wouldn't it be nice if you just didn't do it? Number 11. Okay, the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. The idea here is that you want the team itself, the people that you're working with, to actually be organizing who's doing what within the team. Don't initially set out to say, right, you're the front-end person, you're the back-end person, you're the database person, okay? Let the team organize this themselves. And if one person thinks, actually, I think I'm better suited to doing this particular role, go for it, okay? The team know what the right approach to take is. Again, I'm never going to tell you, do it this way. I'm going to tell you, this is what we want done, go do it. And that's the best way to do it. Okay? And finally, number 12, at regular intervals, the team has to reflect on how to become more effective and then tune its behavior accordingly. Again, this is very much a learning experience. Inside of Agile, what we're always trying to do is have this idea of continuous improvement. So after the end of each of our time-boxed sessions, again, sprints inside of Scrum, we'll sit down and we try and figure out, okay, what went well that time? What did we do really well as a team? What didn't go so well? How can we improve that for next time? And it's these retrospectives that give the team an opportunity to come together, not to pass blame, but to look for opportunities to improve in the future. So that is a very, very rough introduction to Agile. We've talked about the 4 different values and we've looked at the 12 different principles. Hopefully, you'll see how we can now use these values and principles inside of the different flavors of Agile and how we can then use these to actually make our software development a little bit more interesting.